Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World Energy Healing Session. Today is September 23rd, 2025. We've got Jewish New Year going on, Rosh Hashanah. So happy Shan Tov, Shana Tov. I forget how to say it. Shana Tov, okay. To everyone who is celebrating. And yeah, we've also had solstice, yes, equinox yesterday. So it's autumn in the northern hemisphere and spring in the southern hemisphere yesterday. It's also the waxing moon. We had the new moon on Saturday. So if any of you are like me, I like to cut my hair on the waxing moon to cause it to grow more. But if you want less hair, so I usually cut my head hair on the waxing moon, and on the waning moon is when I shave. So, make sure you're doing those things as you feel it would work for you. Now, the other thing we were thinking about today is being able to start to shift um, the way we think, and how that thinking will get you to where you want to go, so you have success in life. So one of the things I tend to do is say very often, "Oh my goodness, I have no energy. I have no energy. How am I going to do this or that?" And I decided a couple of weeks ago, I got to stop saying that. There was a period of time I was unwell. I wasn't feeling well, and I needed to. Um, that was happening to me, but that doesn't mean it had to continue. Nor do I have to keep the thinking. And I shifted the thinking, and I'm noticing I'm getting more energy as I go along. So you can think about those things. What are the things you say? All you need to do is start creating a habit of changing those things. So, one of the things that occurs is when you say something over and over to yourself, you actually create grooves in the brain. How does that happen? Well, we've got neuroplasticity, and your neuroplasticity will start to make these connections using your hormones and neurotransmitters. And then you're actually physiologically acting out and performing in the way your mind is telling you to think. Now, of course, we know in the subconscious that we have all of our self-image. Our self-image can actually keep us in a lack of success pattern, right? So I'm not going to quite go into how we change the self-image, but well, maybe I'm going to do it this way. You don't change the self-image to get what you want. You change the thinking to change the self-image to get you to where you want. And how we're going to do that is it's probably not conscious what your self-image is. You probably don't. You have a conscious self-image, but that one is not the one that's acting out in the world. The one that's acting out is the one that is in your subconscious. So the one you look at and you think, like, oh, I don't have any self-worth. That's the one you're aware of. But the one that's unconscious, you don't know what that is. So how are we going to do that? Well, number one is you don't need to describe your image. You don't really need to describe it. You need to look at the thoughts that keep that image in place and see, where do I want to go, and what is happening to me in my thought process that gets my self-image to keep going back to, right? I'm going to keep going back. So I could have a goal. I could encourage myself and say, all right, let's go do it. And all of a sudden, I spend a couple of days going in that direction, maybe even months, but I haven't changed my thinking necessarily. I'm using dopamine, I'm using, um, maybe motivational terminology. I'm not really changing my thinking. So that's what we need to do. And it has to happen in several forms. Like, one form needs to be, I need to quiet down so I hear what I'm thinking. So when I asked the group, a few people came up with, "What am I thinking?" And they started thinking about it. Uh, Now I don't know how fast or how slow, but I can state really quickly some of the thoughts I'm thinking upon awakening. And I'm often thinking about things that I I might have done wrong. I think of things that I think are going to go wrong. I have a tendency to do that. So it would be good if we could go, well, I woke up and all I said was I was grateful for this day. I woke up and I saw the sun and I smiled and I felt how wonderful it is to be alive. I mean, wouldn't those thoughts be so much better to where you need to support where we need to go and how we need to live in life? So, the treatment today, if you accept kind of like Mission Impossible, if you accept this mission and you want to, you know, accept this into your life, go right ahead. If you don't, you could do the exercise of beginning to see all your thoughts, kind of slow down, take a minute a day to sit down and just watch your thoughts go by. Don't attach to them. Don't even think about them. Your thoughts are nothing. They're just trash coming out of your head. You think they're really important. Like you think that what you say about yourself. I know I do. I know I think they're really important. And especially when they're linked to guilt. Let's say I've said something and I've caused a situation and I feel really guilty about it. I think my thoughts about it are really important. Well, I actually went through something recently where I did start to go down that road and I went, you're not. You're just going to stop this tendency to keep repeating that you are guilty. I might have felt bad about the situation, whatever. But now it's time to sit back and go, hey, stop creating the thoughts that are attached to guilt. Doesn't mean I'm going to lie to myself, doesn't mean I'm going to lie to the other person. I'm just going to stop creating this because the situation is gone. It's over. It's in the past. It does not need to continue in my present, nor does it need to continue down the line. What is it ultimately I'm trying to achieve? And even if you fail, if you're on a diet, if you're on an exercise regime, if you've told yourself you're going to do this, that, the other at work. I mean, gosh, we have all these things. I need to clean the house today. Oh, I didn't do it. Oops, I forgot to do that. I need to fix my website. I need to encourage my clients. I need to do better at work. I need to. Sure. Yeah, we're going to fail. That's not a problem. What we need to do is to look at how we think about that. And how we think about it is, all right, can't do everything. I'm just going to move that forward on my list and then move into the next part. I know I can already hear, so many different people going, yeah, but what if you have depression? What if you, are missing a leg? What if you're in pain? What if you're, well, we've all been through some of these things. We've been through terrible things. It doesn't mean we can't make it better. Why make it worse? If I already have depression, why would I use my thoughts to make myself more depressed? Just think about it in just a very logical way. It's very practical and logical, or common sense. If I'm depressed, why think about how bad it is to be depressed? I know how bad it is to be depressed. I'm depressed. So why would I add to it? Why would I even say to myself, oh, you're depressed, you can't do that? You've already set yourself up. So think of what you'd like to have and move yourself in that direction. You don't have to do it quickly. You don't have to do it slowly. There's no time frame. This is your life. This is how you're going to experience your life. And of course, we always have choice. We don't have control of everything, right? We don't. We can't control everything. But I can at least control, hey, my thoughts are doing this. I need to look at them and go, let's switch them up. Let's switch those thoughts. Yeah, it might be drudgery for a bit. It might be difficult. The old thoughts might dominate the new thoughts. The old thoughts, you might convince yourself, are the ones that are the winners. You can feel those winners and losers in your head. Again, who cares? Just keep going for the new thought, the thought that you want, or whatever it is that you want to achieve. Use that thought to get to where you want to go. Okay, so that's what we're doing this week. And whoever accepts it now, we're going to work with neuroplasticity. So this is your brain, but then it goes right through your entire body. How you move can shift. So interesting thing that really shifted me on Sunday was I walk in a certain area. That area is very, very aggressive. So I said, no, it's time. It's time to give up. I've tried, shifting my energy, shifting my thoughts, shifting everything. And it just seemed to throw me out, right? I don't know if uh, most of you have heard of, you could send white light to someone, love to someone, and they will become more and more aggressive. Yeah, that happens. I've done it so many times, especially in my teen years when someone told me, send white light to the situation, but no expectations. I did. I sent white light to the situation, but I did have an expectation. My expectation is it would get better. What was happening is I would go to work and I would faint. And I sent white light and the fainting got worse until I finally realized, oh, right, it's actually kicking me out. So it just happened recently. It's like, oh, this area is kicking me out. So let's just go in the other direction. And we went in the other direction and found the most beautiful park that vibrates with me. It is massive. It is huge. It is filled with nature. I was rejuvenated. My legs felt more flexible. And every I think every single person that we passed by, not like groups, but singular people, everyone said good morning, whether it was French, whether it was English, no matter what, everyone was smiling in front of me. I went, oh my God, why was I walking over? No one smiles over there. There's no smiles. There's no, I've passed a woman, I think 10 times, and finally there's a smile. But big change. So something can toss you out. Remember that. It's a really important piece. So when you're changing something, you can often not get the exact result you want, but where you're going is the ultimate goal, not all the details along the way. Okay. So just watch out for that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can say, well, my goal is, if it involves other people, if it involves an area, don't forget there's an energy in particular areas. And doesn't mean you can beat that, energy, that your energy is going to dominate. We are not tyrants. We're just people, and we're not doing black magic either. We're here trying to figure out where we agglomerate, where we can work well, where it's going to be healthier for us. That's the most important thing. We can't make other people be part of what we want to experience, but we can attract what it is we like, because there's lots of different energies around. So we want to get, yes, baby. Okay. Birds talking here. So we want to get the neuroplasticity to resonate with this kind of energy. So what you could also do is think about, it might be too quick right now. Some of you might have things that you want to achieve, but are having difficulty achieving. And some of you might be thinking, oh, I don't know what I want to achieve. Think about where you want to be. So one of the things that we need to look at often is, where do I want to be in a month? Where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be in 9 months? I like the 3-6-9 because that just vibrates well with me, but you can do it any way you like. 6 months. And then where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 2 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Something to think about. So if you've got something already planned, already established that you want to look at, just focus on it. Well, I'm looking at the plasticity. So I'm looking for what I'm going to support for you is, there are areas in the brain that are stuck together, creates these grooves in the brain. Just the plasticity will connect all these different fibers with all our different thoughts. How does that happen? Well, my thoughts, if they're connected to emotions, those emotions will elicit neurotransmitters and hormones, right? So those neurotransmitters are going to communicate to the brain and our hormones. They're going to communicate to our brain, oh, this person is not feeling well. So you release less and less dopamine. You have less and less endorphins. And as that happens, we become more and more down and depressed or whatever it is. So what we want to do is ensure that the brain will be able to use all the systems, that's blood, your lymph, your nerve, all your electrons, your subatomic particles, your energy systems. That's going to include chi, electromagnetic frequency, your kundalini, your chakras. All of that will be used, as well as your personal and collective consciousness. I covered the collective, like, where am I going? If I don't, let's say you're in a job and you don't like that job because the environment's not good. Well, you need to start vibrating to the new environment, but the collective of the environment that you're in, as well as the collective of all the people in the world who don't like the job they're in, that's all going to influence you. We want to get the brain to unstick that so you could start to, through the parietal lobe and the sensory motor cortex, as well as your five senses, physical and subtle, you're beginning to look at the world and go, there are lots of options. And no, it's not impossible. Yes, it is complex. There's a lot to do. Usually when people see something is complex, they'll say, it's really hard. Actually, it's not. You do one thing at a time. Some of those one things can be difficult. Like, let's say it's a kid learning how to spell their name and they get to a cursive Y or whatever, and they find it difficult to make. Yeah, so it's going to be difficult, but it's simple. Keep practicing that Y. Oops, I'm making another letter. Y over and over again, and you're going to get it. It's simple, each of the steps. No, the entirety, you can look back and go, wow, that took me a really long time. Altogether, some of it was difficult, but it's really, really simple. So you got to get that energy, that understanding in the brain that, oh, wow, sure, really, really complex, but I'm going to do one thing at a time. Makes it simple. So when I'm going into my thoughts, super complex, where do I start? Just start with the first one you notice. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go through all of them. You'll get there. But the first one you notice, oh, after that one, you might notice another one and another one. Just look at them and then switch them up, or just don't pay any attention to them. That also is a good thought, right? And then the day you don't have any thoughts, you might turn around and go, I have no thoughts, which is another thought. You think something's wrong. It's to disengage the sense of my thoughts are important. And believe you me, we think they're really important. I talk about this all the time. This is the place that I tend to teach the most and talk about the most, because it's the one I need to know the most. I used to spend 8 to 10 hours a day meditating, and despite that, I still hear my thoughts and I think they're correct about me. How do I think they're correct? There's a deep emotion. Usually for me, it's guilt. I feel guilty. I have a very strong sense of guilt. So for those of you who have guilt, shame, and any emotional content, this part is for you. Let's do that. I'm going to send certain aspects, fear and guilt, to individuation. Those parts of emotions that are connected to your thoughts, we're going to send those to individuation. The individuation process is the Jungian process of growing up, becoming, let's say, it's not becoming yourself. You are yourself, but you don't change when you change your clothing. You don't change if you put different glasses on. You're still you. It doesn't change. But there are aspects of our functioning, how we do things in the world and what we think about, that are not necessarily conducive to the most successful you, let's say. So when we're individuating, by the way, you might contradict that. Everything I say, you might find contradictory information. Doesn't matter. We're working today with this part, and all of the contradictions, I think, are also correct, because you can have two separate things that are both true at the same time. Okay. So We can have emotions that get moved out of the body by using a technique that drags it through the lungs, diaphragm, and colon, and you poop it out. Or you can have emotions that are so deep and connected to our thinking process that we need to send it through individuation. That's one. Those two things are true at the same time. We can have thoughts that occur spontaneously and very quickly that are not completely uh, causing a congestion within the neuroplasticity of the brain, because we turn around and go, wait a minute, that's not true. And you have thoughts that, reduce the neuroplasticity and the movement and, bung up the entire myelin sheath and glial cells that we have. All right, so Bird's freaking out now. So he's telling me it's time for me to be quiet. So, okay, go ahead, go on. He's so funny. All right, so let's do that. And then we want to bring in our beautiful gut brain. So the gut brain is what makes our decisions. It makes our decisions. It decides what's good and bad. It's wonderful if that works well. So we've got this system that is, that can be inflexible, and we want to get that plasticity working for us. And the second part is to get the gut brain to clear out. So just put your hands on your belly there and just feel it. Just notice what it's saying to you. Mine is saying, oh, you think too much, woman. Oh, it's going, oh, I'm always sore. You always torture me. And I do. Yes, I apologize. Yeah, your belly is always trying to take responsibility for everything. You need that flexibility to come into the belly. You don't have to take care of the world, woman. Okay, so try that. Try whatever spontaneously comes up for you. You could say it out loud with yourself right now. That spontaneously came up. I did not expect those words. So might be words you don't expect. So we're going to tap that. So just tap your belly. I'm just like patting it. We want to get that belly to start recognizing that you're with it. You have compassion for it. You are in tune with what it's going to communicate with you. I'm not saying it's always correct, because sometimes it can do some weird things, but it usually knows what's going on. And then we'll go back and link the two of them to the heart, where we're individuating these very strong emotions that keep our thoughts producing dopamine, serotonin, or reducing the dopamine and serotonin. I think I'll keep it to dopamine and serotonin for them. Actually, endorphins came up, because we don't want the reduction in those things. We want them to be naturally occurring. But I think of Sri Aurobindo. I read a quote from him, and he said the way he feels his experience in the world is like every single cell of his body is like a yoni receiving ecstasy. I always, remember that. And I think, wow, just imagine, just receiving ecstasy through every single cell of the body. So maybe it's time for us to get there. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for participating. Thank you to all my participants, and have a wonderful autumn, spring, wherever you are. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.